So let's change the topic. Thank you, Jeff. Would you guys believe me if I told you that there's actually 5 things that happened in the week over the weekend that are very good news for Tesla? It doesn't sound like it, but I'll go through them. So first of all, Tesla actually announced that the full self-driving supervised is coming to Europe pending regulatory approval. They actually dropped a new video of FSD driving in the Netherlands, and you had Tesla Vice President Ashok Galaswamy saying that FSD's end-to-end model is scaling well in other regions. He said first China and now Europe. So this is really good sign signals that FSD is going to get regulatory approval in Europe, probably even soon. Then we had Lars Morphy come out. He posted a note on us asking for suggestions on features that would make Teslas better in 2026. Grok actually confirmed that it's on its way to be rolling out to Tesla vehicles. And then he actually said that it looks like I'm already rolling out the Tesla vehicles as of April 2025. Some owners report me in their cars with a spring update, but full availability might still be in progress. Stay tuned for official Tesla updates. That's what Grok answered. Now, sure, maybe it's just reading what text that there is in Twitter on X, but that's what Grok said. Third, in an even bigger deal, right? Tesla's director of cell manufacturing operations, he came out on a post on LinkedIn and he said that Tesla will fully ramp 4680 batteries in 2025, now that they've achieved the lowest cost per kilowatt hour battery. 2025, fully ramp 4680 batteries. Then we had Joe Techmeyer show videos of these all cars, including the new Model Ys and the Cybertrucks, driving themselves 2 miles to the parking lot. And then now it looks like that launch edition of Model Y is no longer available. They're selling regular Model Ys in China and the US. This shows that they've really now truly getting closer to at scale. Let's start with you, Omar. Boy, lots of stories here. Pick the one you like. FSD in Europe, Grok coming to the cars, 4680 is ramping,
Yeah, so, just really quickly, you can't trust Grok to tell you what Tesla's product plans are. It doesn't know that. It's like asking your Tickle Me Elmo, what's going to happen next week on Sesame Street. It may say something, but it doesn't know. So, I think Grok is coming to Tesla, but Grok obviously has no knowledge of that. LLMs tend to just make shit up sometimes. So, I think the Europe video was really interesting. And this, I think, is really the signal. Everybody is freaking out about tariffs for good reason, but there's a good chance that the situation's resolved one way or another and the entire global economy doesn't collapse. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet that the entire global economy doesn't collapse. How bad is the damage going to be? We'll have to see. But I think, I'm kind of reminded of that video of the people playing basketball and then they go, but did you notice the dancing gorilla? And you watch the video again and there's a gorilla dancing through the video and nobody noticed it. Right now, the trade war is the basketball game. And the dancing gorilla is what's happening with AI. So you watch this video, it's a pretty impressive video. They've got cyclists, they got pedestrians, they've got European streets, roundabouts, and it's handling it. So there's no other self-driving system that works in more than one country. Waymo works in the United States. There's other systems that work in China. Tesla's now operating in China, in Europe, and in the United States. So we haven't seen a major FSD update in the first quarter, but this scaling to China and Europe, China officially launched, Europe pending regulatory approval, I think it's really significant and shows that they're scaling this to be a core part of their product around the world. So, for European approval, they're actually now updating the regulation so that this thing can be offered. They're not just making a demo vehicle. They intend to actually bring this to the European market this year. And we could see an exemption come from the Netherlands as soon as this month. That would allow them to launch at least in the Netherlands, but maybe even in other European countries. Once you're approved to run in one European country, the process is pretty streamlined for the other 30 countries in the EU economic zone. Then there's about 30 more countries that are part of the UNECE regulations, 60 countries in total, places like Australia, New Zealand, you name it, a number of different countries outside Europe. That would also then be pretty easy to homologate. So you're looking at really FSD opening up to the world. So something that I think is one of the strongest differentiating features of the Tesla, until now it's only been available in North America. Now it's starting to open up to the world. So this is really a new chapter for the company. I think it's just amazing and a real strong proof of the technology, how well it scales to these different markets. They're launching, the unsupervised service in June. I think they have a good shot at really launching a global rideshare service that rivals the scale of Uber here. And it's an enormous feat from a regulatory perspective, but they seem to be navigating it. It's no easy feat to figure out how to launch this in, 3 markets that are very different in terms of the kind of roads you see.
Omar, can you clarify the milestones? So one of the things that it's been very impressive is almost every single milestone that Ashok Goswami or Tesla AI posted has been hit. One of the ones that every one of us basically just discounted was the one that said regulatory approval for FSD in Europe, first half of 2025. We all said, it's not going to happen. It'll happen second half of 2025. It might still actually happen. And they had some sort of we all thought regulatory just bottlenecks in Europe will never make that happen. It might actually happen. But didn't they also say that there was going to be this next, additional 3 times compute, the sirens, the parking thing that was supposed to happen by the end of the month last month, and it hasn't happened, correct? Am I wrong with that date?
Yeah, so in terms of Europe, I would consider that kind of launched. They said they would add support for Europe pending regulatory approval. Seems like the regulatory approval didn't come within the first quarter, which isn't surprising, but there's a good chance it actually launches in the second quarter. So I think I would check that one off from an engineering perspective. It's now just a matter of waiting for the regulators to sign off. In terms of 13.3 and those sort of upcoming improvements, yeah, I mean, I think everybody's really excited to see the next step, the destination options, a lot of the different features there. And we did see Tesla bring back this early access program invitation in the app, trying to bring more people in, which does kind of suggest a new update's coming. But from what I hear from people who know what the team is up to, the new roadmap is this. It's very simple. You don't even need a tweet. You can just remember it. It's unsupervised in June or bust. The entire team is focused on getting that robotaxi service launched in June. And there is going to be obviously new models that come out of that we can run on our existing cars. I expect something to probably ship this month. I was honestly kind of expecting it to ship at the end of last month. I think that was the deadline. You saw, for example, I think Not a Tesla app. They had a story too. They said, hey, Cybertruck's about to get ass and it's about to get reverse and it's about to get the button. We're going to get these features, but didn't quite make it out on time, which isn't that surprising. That can happen for a number of reasons. But I think it could ship in April along with some of those other improvements. And then we maybe see one more update before going to unsupervised. So the next few updates are really going to sort of close the loop. What I'm seeing on my drives is, AI4 is able to drive me around all day. And I can't remember the last intervention I had. So the next few updates are really going to get us to a place where I think almost nobody is having any interventions and they can start launching in unsupervised driverless service in Austin that's available for any of us to ride in.
Yeah, I've been a huge difference, by the way, for everybody just to know that if you have a hardware 4 car, especially the Model 3 specifically, It is flawless. For me, I haven't had an intervention, a safety critical intervention for, I don't know, 2 months now, ever since I had my front camera cleaned. It's just something I just enjoy doing, and I do it every day. But it's a huge difference because I also have another Model 3 that's hardware 3, and I wouldn't feel the same way at this point. So they will need to get all the cars up to be like that. Um, what did you take about Lars Morphy sending out that note saying, give me advice on how to make Teslas better in 2026? That's great to hear a Tesla executive reaching out directly, and he got millions of people, and I don't know, I can't remember how many thousands, tens of thousands of people giving comments. Anything there that popped out for you guys, Omar?
Well, I think it's always been part of the culture of Tesla to ask users how they want the product to be improved, and then to do that, to give the customers what they want, make them happy. I mean, this used to be something that Elon would kind of handle personally. You'd see him here all the time, replying to people, taking safety suggestions. I think with him more focused on the White House right now, yeah, there's other Tesla executives like Lars who are saying, yeah, let me go ahead, round up some of this feedback, and make sure the team is working on some of the feature enhancements that customers want. So I don't think it's anything new there, except just, Lars is taking a little bit of a more active role. So it's been good to see others in the company kind of rise up and take some workload off Elon to keep things running smoothly.
Mm-hmm. And then the new vehicles, all new vehicles in Giga Texas are now officially driving themselves. Every brand new Model Y and Cybertrucks, they're driving autonomously from the factory 2 miles out to the outbound lot. Joe Tegmar had a great video of that. And then we also even saw that I think the tunnel, what is that called? The Alexander, help me
The
out.
cyber birthing tunnel,
No. In Vegas.
the boring loop.
Boring loop. Yeah,
Loop,
it's now.
yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Alexander? It's not autonomous. That is still just another tool.
That video yesterday, it looks so tight. I really admire those drivers because, they are obviously on full self-drive, but they're in there all day long. I mean, phenomenal how to get now, I think it's from the Encore to the convention center in 3 minutes, which usually takes, I don't know how long. It's the worst spot in terms of roads crossing and highways crossing in Vegas. So you avoid all that thing just below it, but it's such a slim tunnel, and it looked quite bumpy. Now, I don't know whether this is just because, the way it was filmed or whatever, but I was like, oh my God, this is high speed, bumpy. Maybe it also was just played quicker than they actually drove. But this is quite a ride.
Why isn't it autonomous yet?
Well, I actually rode on the Boring Company loop, and this is actually an amazing project. So it's really just started. So there's 3 convention center stops, and I think 1 stop for Resorts World so far. But eventually, once it's fully built out, the plan is to collect all of the Vegas casinos. So Bellagio, Caesar's Palace, Convention Center, whatever, you name it, anywhere you'd want to go in Vegas, you could go there underground. And if you've spent any time trying to drive above ground in Vegas, it's a nightmare. You, first of all, have to walk to the Uber stand, which, is like 5 miles away on the other end of the casino. You finally get there, you get in the Uber, traffic's just deadlocked. There's all kinds of people walking around on the strip. So when I went to CES, being able to go down under my casino into Resorts World and take a Tesla tunnel straight to CES was amazing. So I think this is going to be great, and a lot of people will probably experience, driverless for the first time in these tunnels under Vegas. But I was surprised when I saw it because there seems to be this this idea. Well, why don't they just automate it? Because the tunnel, it's so simple and straight, and there's no cross traffic. It turns out it's actually not. There are sharp 180-degree hairpin turns, traffic lights, instances where you have to merge in with other traffic. It really is like pretty advanced driving down there. It's not simple at all, actually. So I'm not sure. I think they said they were going to start maybe using FSD down there, but I think their priority is really going to be getting real rideshare working above ground first before focusing on the tunnels, because it's not just a straight simple tunnel like you would expect. It's really kind of like a series of separate tunnels in a way, connected together. You really have to kind of ride it to understand what I mean, but you can understand once you see it why they're cautious to automate it, because this is something where you have a lot of people coming through in Vegas. It's a real live system, and there's a lot of opportunities to sort of mess up, and it could be very bad if you have a crash in the tunnel and people are stranded and that type of thing. So I would master above ground driverless, and then I think eventually it's inevitable that all the traffic in the boring tunnels, certainly probably before the system's fully built out, will be entirely driverless Teslas.
Okay, yeah, I did not know about that. So that's good information. So that was interesting. All the cars are being driven out. For us Tesla bulls, and we listen to this, it just, we're nonchalantly all saying, yep, all the Teslas, as soon as they're made in the factories, they're driving themselves to the parking lot. I just, stop and think about that though. Jesus. Like, I know that both Elon and Ashok have said that this is thousands of cars on a daily basis now driving themselves. And I'm sure they're driving themselves through the production line too. So it's like, it's just crazy. Unbelievable.
Yeah, more than 100,000 safe trips. And if you think about it, Tesla is entirely liable for anything that happens to the car during this time. If it crashes into a pole or gets a scratch on it because the self-driving system messed up, they're not going to be able to deliver that car to the customer. They're going to have to fix it at their own cost. So it says quite a lot. They feel confident enough in the software that every Tesla made in North America is now autonomously delivering itself to the logistics lot. And more than that, this is really the canary in the coal mine, so to speak, for automation. You are seeing a real job, which is by the way, a job nobody wanted to do. Somebody had to just drive these cars 24/7 between the factory and the logistics lot, come back, drive it over again, come back, drive it over again all day. And now that's a job that doesn't have to be done. Those workers can be put towards doing something much more useful. And this is a trend that you're going to see throughout the company and really throughout the industry, is automation doing things that previously required a person to do full time.
Yeah, it's like thousands of robots today on a daily basis are doing useful work today. These are robotic AI. It just happens to be ones with wheels at this point. I loved it. My own wife said to me one day, "Yeah, aren't Tesla cars just robots on wheels?" I go, "Yes." I go, "I'm sure you heard me say that like years ago, whatever." But it's just great to hear finally somebody saying. Elon has said that a few times. Thoughts on the fact that the regular Model Y is no longer the launch edition, and I think that this is not just the U.S. factory, the U.S. being sold in the U.S., but also in China now too. And I'm not sure if it's also Europe, but I'm assuming it's basically everywhere now. They stopped selling the launch edition, which means that in each of these, particularly U.S., that was the one we were most concerned about, whether they're scaling production of the new Model Ys already at the level that is near full scale. Isn't that what that means? And what do you guys think about that? I think we lost Christian there.
Well, I mean, I looked at the configurator for the new Model Y, and there were some colors, for example, Quicksilver or Stealth Gray, that said available today for pickup. And there were some that said available in 1 to 3 weeks. So, I think really if demand is sort of off the charts, or if they're having a supply issue, then you probably see a very long wait time. So for a consumer, a low wait time is better. If I'm buying a car, I would love to go pick it up today. So I think that's all great for the consumer. But what you'd maybe want to see from a demand perspective is that there's such a long line to get production. They're struggling to catch up. But, maybe they've just ramped up very fast and they're ready. I think tariffs and uncertainty are also sort of playing into the mix. So it doesn't seem like they have, a long list of orders they're trying to get through. They are now doing the non-launch series, which is essentially lowering the price. Now you don't have to buy FSD. If, they had a ton of people who were buying it at 60,000, I think they probably would have continued. So overall, maybe not a great sign in terms of demand, but from a customer perspective and a supply perspective, if they're able to actually ramp up production and make sure there's a car there, that's probably a better situation overall. Because if you have a car, you can try and do something to sell it. You can use the referral program or FSD transfer or something. If the car hasn't been produced and it's not there, then there's nothing you can do to sell it. So we'll have to see how demand goes through the quarter. I think they'll probably do over 400,000 deliveries this quarter, but it's really starting to be showtime for the new Model Y. It looks like it's ramping up, it's available, and now we'll see how it really performs this quarter.
Thank you, Omar. So did you guys realize that the Q1 earnings call is actually going to happen 2 weeks from today? It is that close. Alexander, are you still there? You were saying that you'd already kind of knew that Q1, you're expecting it to be not good, but yeah, what's your expectations?
I mean, my comment was done after the earnings call when we heard all these ramps and all these pauses, right? I mean, we just saw the delivery numbers. So I don't have any calculations ready for the earnings call. It's actually the day I'm leaving on vacation for 4 weeks. So I couldn't care less for once what the earnings call is all about. I will just listen to the earnings call and off I am. But it's going to be interesting to hear Elon on the next phase, because we're now in April. In the next 6 to 8 weeks, the most phenomenal things are going to happen. The ramp of the Y will obviously be digested, as Omar just explained. There are cars now available, so it's all eyes are going to be on the Cybercab.
Mm-hmm. And then, did you guys notice? I know Omar did that. They did not call it an earnings call; they called it a company update. Is that significant?
Yeah, I mean, we've been hearing for the last several quarters about how they're going to launch new, more affordable models in the first half of the year. Well, here we are in April. We're starting to get into the second quarter. I'm thinking they have to give us some more details, maybe even announce what this new, more affordable model is during this company update, because, well, otherwise, when are you going to do it? So in 2 weeks, I think that's probably all we'll be talking about. The financials for the quarter are probably not going to be great. If you listen to the first quarter earnings call, they mentioned that in addition to reduced production, you're also going to see lower margins as a result of the Model Y downtime. Model Y being their highest margin product, sells for a higher price than the Model 3. But also due to the additional downtime of the lines, that's going to be a headwind for automotive margin as well. So I think the financial results probably won't be that great. But if they have something great to show us in terms of a new lower cost vehicle, remember, the last time they announced a new lower priced Tesla and moved down market was 2017, 8 years ago now. If they actually have something to show for us there that is impressive, that's probably all we'll be talking about. But there's still a little bit of a debate about whether we see something that's much different than a Model Y, or whether it's just actually quite similar to a Model Y, but using some new parts or missing some features that makes it lower cost.
Mm-hmm. I do think that calling it a company update was, there's a reason, and they're going to use that to kind of counter some of the conversations about the car company business, because it is expected, but I think it's built in. as you listen to all these institutional analysts, and I follow every single one of them, surprisingly, it's actually only Dan Ives, which we're going to do a live stream with him tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's going to be live streamed on all of our X accounts as well as on my YouTube channel. We're going to ask him, but he's the only one that seemed to have reacted very poorly, cut his price targets significantly from 550, I think, to 320 or something like that at this point. But I think we had Morgan Stanley, we had Cantor Fitzgerald keep their overweight rating and buy ratings, kept their price target the same because they're built it already in. They recognize that first quarter, second quarter is not going to be good. But if they do a company update and they actually share either it's the new vehicles or maybe more information about what to expect on the June update, just a little bit more information. He has to say something about it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have to talk about full self-driving and robotaxi and programs. Hopefully, it's enough to get everybody to realize this company has transitioned significantly. 4680s. So, last quarter in that earnings call, they talked about the 4680 batteries. Elon spent, I think it's 2 sentences that saying that we've, so proud of the team hitting the lowest cost per kilowatt hour. So the director of that program posted on LinkedIn saying that the cell manufacturing operations, not only that they're proud of the team hitting the lowest cost, but it will be fully ramped by this year. So I don't know what that fully means, but that seems like that's a big deal. Thoughts on that, Omar?
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear the people on the 4680 team echo the update Elon shared at the all hands recently. In that presentation, he said that they had achieved what they thought was the lowest cost cell, that they'd be scaling it up, that they'd be doing dry electrode, a coating for the anode and cathode. So hearing the team echo that, I think, is encouraging. The dry electrode coating, which they're now just starting to get fully into production for both the anode and the cathode, was a major innovation that was going to allow them to scale up with dramatically less capex, dramatically less space. As that's perfected, I think you're going to see their cell production sort of hit another level. So in terms of the lowest cost cell in the world, I'm kind of skeptical of that claim. I'd love to hear some more details about that. I would think probably CATL LFP or BYD LFP would probably be the lowest cost in the world, but maybe they're including the battery production credit in that figure. If so, that's up to $45 a kilowatt hour. Then it could be actually the lowest cost cell in the world if you include that. But I'd love some more sort of details at how they arrived at that consideration. I'm skeptical. But overall, I mean, they have production of over 130,000 Cybertrucks worth of 4680 cells a year. 2025 really feels like a year where a lot of projects Tesla's been working on for years are finally starting to come to fruition, whether it's FSD going unsupervised or 4680 starting volume production with dry anode and cathode. I think if this plays out, we're probably going to see 4680 used in a lot more products. Right now, it's only 2 to 3% of their vehicle production. So Tesla remains today a company that uses external suppliers, pretty much every external supplier out there, whether it's Panasonic, LG, CATL, BYD, to supply their products. Tesla's own cells only supply about 2 to 3% of their global delivery volume. But if what they're saying here in this post is true and they actually have success scaling it up this year, then I could see that percentage rising quickly.
Hmm. Do you have thoughts on the Cybertruck, Omar, in terms of scale? Is it going towards full scale next year? Has it slowed down? Any thoughts on production?
Yeah, so if you look at the delivery report, I think one of the most striking things was seeing about 23,000 deliveries for SX and Cybertruck in the first quarter and about 12,000 in the first quarter. And sorry, 23,000 in the fourth quarter. So Cybertruck, interestingly, despite the recall in the quarter that required a stop sale, was still the best-selling electric truck. It outsold the F-150. It outsold Rivian's entire business. They were down 36%. So, they have capacity for 125,000. They did about, I think, 38,000 deliveries. And according to the recall notice, they delivered about 9,000 or so Cybertruck in the quarter. So only 3,000 S and X. So, you'd want to see, I think, Cybertruck sales really grow 2x to 3x this year. And it doesn't really look like that based on Q1. It's unclear how much the recall really affected things, but deliveries look to be about flat, quarter over quarter. So I think the key thing for the Cybertruck is going to be introducing lower cost versions, bringing down the price so that more people can access it. I know they're working on a $60,000 version that they're going to launch this year. It really is a phenomenal product. It's really rated. I'm about to go take a trip with one. So people love it. They love the space, the comfort, steer by wire, rear wheel steering, the 4680 structural pack, 500 kilowatt charging. Tesla's really packed all their best technology in this thing. And I think people will fall in love with it the more they get to experience it. But they really need to bring the price down. If you can't afford the product, especially now with tariffs and the EV tax credit potentially going away and everything else that's going on. I mean, for a lot of people, the car payment is just too high. They'd love to get it. If you introduce lower cost versions, make it more affordable, I think that they are going to be able to see growth. Is it ever going to be, a Model Y sized product? I'm not sure, at least not before autonomy, but I think they could probably do long term somewhere between 250,000 to 500,000 units. Right now, they're also mostly focused on the U.S. and Canada. I think there are probably also a few international markets they could open up to, in addition to doing the lower cost variants. So, in summary, I'd say the Q1 figure was kind of worrying, and everyone's kind of looking at this right now and saying, is this really going to be much of a growth driver, or is this kind of the demand level we have for it? And the announcements we're seeing about 4680 could be really important, because if you can lower the cost of cell production, if you can get more range in this thing for less money, if you can lower the cost to make that battery pack substantially, then you can lower the cost and move down the demand curve and sell more units. So that 4680 news, I think, will play into it well. But yeah, the Cybertruck really has to prove itself through the rest of the year and show strong growth, or people are going to look at it like a flop. You have to remember, every vehicle Tesla's ever had has been their biggest vehicle yet, right? They did the Roadster as their first vehicle. That was obviously bigger than nothing. The Model S was bigger than the Roadster. The Model X was even more popular than the Model S in some ways. The Model 3 obviously made the Model S and X look small by comparison. And then the Model Y made the Model 3 look small by comparison. So, the Cybertruck, I don't know if it'll ever be really a Model Y sized vehicle, but I think really post autonomy, it's going to be a really important part of the vehicle lineup to be able to do autonomous hauling, to build things in the back of the bed as an autonomous solution. But yeah, right now they have millions of orders for this thing at a $40,000 price point. Right now it's more of an $80K to $100K price point. So bridge the difference on that a little bit. If you can get it to $60K and with the tax credit it's $53, you're going to find a lot of Model Y buyers, or even a lot of people who ordered the $40,000, $50,000 version, who say, you know what, with inflation, that's actually pretty much right in line there. And as it becomes more affordable, I think people will fall in love with it because it's a great vehicle. The air suspension makes it much more comfortable than the Model Y. And it's really the best Tesla they've designed yet in a lot of ways.
And no way, it was designed with that in mind, right? Of manufacturing first design. So once they get going with scale, then it's all about price. And if you start selling an incredible valued vehicle with good pricing, it's going to change the game. So we'll see. Great comments on that. So there's actually the Roadster. I might be wrong, but I think the Roadster is the only product that Tesla had promised that haven't delivered, right? So you've got the Cybertruck that everybody said was impossible. They launched that last year. They're going to scale that this year. You have Robotaxi that's going to come in a month. You have FSD Europe, China. You had the 4680 battery that was taking years for them. They're finally going to go fully scale on that. The Tesla Semi, we had the executives come out and saying that, yes, it's still on schedule, despite the Fudster coming out saying that that's not on track. And then, but the Roadster, what I don't know if I'm reading way too much into it, but have you guys noticed that Elon has started following several of these F1 race car drivers? I don't know. When I saw that, I'm going, that must be, for them helping them with the Roadster. But if they come out with the Roadster this year, which I actually don't think they will personally, I think it'll be next year. But if they did, then boy, this was the year that they just, everything they said they were going to do, they got. Thoughts on the Roadster? And did I read too much on who they're following? Elon's following?
No, I don't think so. And, Tesla doesn't do vaporware. They don't do concepts. They don't put out products never to release them. Obviously, the Roadster was released a year before they started ramping the Model 3. And when they started ramping the Model 3, it nearly bankrupted the company. Everything had to be focused on that. Every person had to be focused on that. So it got put on the back burner. And, as they focused on scaling, COVID, they never sort of got to it. They did take the 3-motor drivetrain that they developed for the Roadster, and they ended up launching it on Model S and X. That's the Plaid drivetrain. And they launched it on the Cybertruck. That's the Cyber Beast. But we never got the Roadster itself. But on a recent Ride the Lightning podcast, Lars, the VP of Tesla, actually said, I think Ryan McCaffrey asked him, hey, when was the last time you had a meeting about the Roadster? Is it actively being worked on? And Lars said, I think Tuesday or something like that. So absolutely, they are actually working on getting the Roadster out. It's not forgotten. And I think it'll be worth the wait. I think it'll be kind of epic. With the SpaceX package, it's supposed to go 0 to 60 in less than 1 second. So I think this is a product that'll give some people a heart attack if they try it, which may or may not be a good thing, but I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, just 2 days ago, he followed Max Verstappen, F1 world champion racing. So it just makes sense, right? They roll out the Roadster and you get the best F1 racers out there to drive this thing because it's going to be killer out there. That's going to be a great demo too. So, or maybe they're videotaping something already now. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully I'm not reading way too much in it, but that's the last thing. If they roll out the Roadster, if not even this year, but next year, is there anything else that they promised that they were going to do that they didn't do yet? I think the only one would be, gigafactories in Mexico, but there was a really good deal, good reason why he didn't do that. But this sounds like they're going to do a gig in India. And then none of us ever thought that Tesla was going to build the largest data centers, AI data centers, or they were going to be making 5,000 robots this year. So there's things that they're coming out to. Last comment there, Omar, what do you think about, everybody keeps pointing out to, Elon promised that one day he's going to do a road, end-to-end California to New York road trip, and that never happened. A lot of people are hoping that you would do that, take that over, and he doesn't have time for this kind of stuff anymore. Please do that, Omar.
Yeah. I mean, I think I will, or I think anybody really can. I mean,
yeah.
If you've just tried the latest software, it's getting to the point where it could make a trip across the country without an intervention today. I think it's not.
I think so too.
It's
If
not hard to
highways,
imagine.
Yeah, most of the highways, like what percentage of that ride is highways? It's just go one straight, all the way straight.
Yeah, maybe when the next update is released, I'll just go sit in my car and do it. I think, that's the upside. Anybody can really do it. And there's no other system that can. Every other geofence system, you can open the Waymo app. You're not even going to get an option to try that. But when Tesla ships the model this year, millions of people will be able to do it.
Exactly. But we want to do a coast to coast, because that was promised by Elon. And I just want to, shut people down and say, okay, yeah, it was late, but it's everything that was promised was done. Including, by the way, the 6 billion miles of FSD driven. We're going to hit 7 billion by the end of this year, apparently. So
yeah, I don't even think about it in terms of promises. I just think about it like, here we are in 2025. Self-driving is here. It works. There are 10 million driverless rides happening a year. At the same time, there's 20 million manually driven Uber rides happening every day. So we now are in the scale-up phase of self-driving, where we have to figure out how to replace millions of rides, millions of cars with self-driving electric cars. So this is going to be a major industrial task. One for the history books, really. Unprecedented in many ways. And I think Tesla is going to play a really key role in making it happen. So most of the people who have their lives changed by this technology, they'll never even hear about what Elon said or how long it took. They'll just say, wow, that thing, just saved me from getting hit by another car.
Exactly. Good point. Okay. Well, we can end it here. Thank you guys very much. Very appreciate you, Omar, so much. And of course, Jeff and Alexandra and Christian was joined us as well. Thank you, everybody.
Herbert.
Yeah. We'll do this again like this. Yeah, I will. I wasn't feeling a little earlier. So tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we're going to do a live stream on our X channels, as well as YouTube for a live stream with Dan Ives. And then join us again next week for the space.
Yeah, and come and help me, because I'll be the only one positive on that live stream, so I can have support, please.
Well, we'll see what you mean by that, but okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye-bye.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.